Packed with the devil, crocodile shit, and historical misinformation, today we're making our way through the dangerous and slightly disgusting history of lipstick. Welcome, friend. I'm TK, your tour guide to the past, and you are listening to For the Love of History, the podcast where we talk about world history, women's history, and weird history. Every now and then, I like to pick a single object and follow its history. We've covered the ridiculously long history of pancakes, the deadly history of coffee, followed the colonizers on their bloody path to full spice domination, and ruined your peaceful cuppa with the history of tea. And today, we are going to add lipstick to that list. Will you ever look at your favorite lip kit the same? No, but will you be able to ruin other people's days with delightful yet disgusting history nuggets? You sure will, and that is a TK guarantee, baby. But before we get into that, I must ask you a teensy-weensy little favor. If you're watching over on YouTube, could you please like, share, or subscribe? It really helps other potential history besties find this podcast. And if you're watching over on your listening over on your favorite podcast platform, please leave a rating or review to let me know what you think of this podcast. And if you're on Spotify, go ahead and leave a little committee comment. I love reading them. I read every single one. And with that, it's time to pucker up, Buttercup, so hop in the time machine and let's get to it. Today, Ted and I will be taking you through the disgusting yet dangerous history of lipstick. But first, we must discuss its history. Any good hyperfixation Google search starts with figuring out how old the oldest thing of that thing is. And just last year, there has been breaking news on the oldest lipstick in history. In March of 2024, a team of archaeologists in southern Iran made an incredible and serendipitous discovery. After a massive rainstorm and a series of floods, several artifacts came popping out of the earth like the final scene in Poltergeist. And thanks to the nimble fingers of tomb looters, these artifacts were saved from further damage. This happened in 2004, and somehow these artifacts were recovered by Iranian authorities and then handed over to the proper archaeological agencies. And I'm not endorsing crime, okay? But I am making an observation that looters don't have to go through red academic tape, okay? Because if it was up to the people who fund archaeology projects, the artifacts might have been ruined by the time people were actually allowed to go out there. Through no fault of the archaeologists themselves, that's just how bureaucracy goes. But again, hashtag don't do crime unless it has a net positive outcome for society, and in that case, maybe do crime, but don't call me for bail money, okay? All right, hashtag maybe do crime for the good of society. After receiving the tube of lipstick, an international team of archaeologists began analyzing and carbon dating, and through this, they discovered that this very modern looking tubular pot was created in the early 2nd millennium BCE, making it about 5,000 years old. And can you guess what color it was? Ding, ding, ding. You were correct. It was red. Obviously, it wasn't red anymore. The colors had faded to like a dusty purpley color, but upon inspection and analysis, it was found to have been a purpley red pigment. There was so much more in that scientific article, and if you'd like to read the full article and learn how they did all the analysis, I will leave that in the show notes below. So, after determining the age and color, the science people set out to discovering how it was used. Although the pigment was in a very modern looking tube unit, it was not a lipstick, like a push-up kind of lipstick that we're used to today, but rather an ointment-like product. The component is about the same size as a modern lipstick, but it has a hole on top for accessing the product, as well as dipping a thin brush in. And my favorite part of this whole discovery is the fact that the archaeologists were able to make a very good hypothesis as to how the product was used. Like how these ancient women were actually applying the makeup. Many ancient lip products came in shell or bowl-like vessels and would sit on a vanity-like piece of furniture, but this little tube baby was compact enough to hold in your non-dominant hand. And after comparing the size and structure with the Egyptian version of the lipstick, the archaeologists discovered something amazing, and I will let them tell you the rest. The vial's slender shape and limited thickness suggest that it could have been conveniently held in one hand together with the handle of a copper or bronze mirror, leaving the other hand free to use a brush or another kind of applicator. In fact, a fragment of the famous Turian papyrus, number 5500127, found at Deir el Medina in Egypt and dated to the New Kingdom, 12th century BCE, shows a young woman who oints or perhaps paints her lips with a long brush or solid applicator in the right hand while keeping, at the same time, with the left a large round mirror together with a thin, round-bottomed cylindrical cosmetic vial. What? That's crazy! So they were essentially like holding their mirror in one hand, the tube component in the other, and putting it on like this. Like, how many times have you done this? I held a mirror and a cap in one hand while applying lippy with the other. I literally did it now, right very now. And women 5,000 years ago were doing the same friggin' thing, which I don't know why, but it gives me goosebumps, and I love it. Before this discovery in 2024, the oldest lipstick on record came from the ancient Sumerians in the city of now modern-day southern Iraq, in the tomb of Queen Puabi called Shubad or Shudiad, due to a misinterpretation by the archaeologist Sir Charles Woolley. NBD Charlie Poo, we all make mistakes, but I will be calling her by her proper name, okay? Because that's just what we do here. So, in Queen Puabi's tomb, dozens of lip pigments were found ranging from deep reds to bright oranges. And according to some records, though not 100% verifiable, I could not find any one really definitive answer to this. It seems that our Queen Puabi was the inventor of said lippies. She created them by crushing red rocks or semi-precious jewels and lead and mixing them with various viscous mediums like resin and animal fats. But unlike the tubular unit found in Iran, these lippies were in cockle shells. And if you don't know what a cockle shell is, it is basically imagine the stereotypical seashell. That's what a cockle shell looks like. It is the seashell. After the creation of this lipstick, many Sumerian women and some men wore it as a status symbol and to show that they were fertile. It was a common belief at this time that the more ruddy your lips, the more babies on your hips. That was a bad joke. Why did I write that? Sorry, I'm giving real secular youth pastor vibes today. Somebody once commented that on one of my videos saying, I always wondered what a secular youth pastor would look like, and now I know. I think it was a compliment, but I'm not sure. I'm going to take it as a compliment though, but I digress. At nearly the same time, China was also developing its first lip pigments. Although the creator is unknown, the purpose is. Unlike the ancient Sumerians, their lipsticks began as protection from the elements and were used in some religious ceremonies. 4,000-ish years ago, they called these cosmetics lip balm or mouth balm. They were less pigmented and more for protection. However, on occasion, ancient Chinese women would use something more pigmented called yanzi or face rouge to color their lips, essentially creating the world's first multi-pop products, which is very exciting. Shout out to all the girlies who use the same products for lips, blush, and eyeshadow. That is not lazy, that's innovation. And yes, I am wearing a lip as my blush. Well, actually, I'm wearing a blush as my lip right now. Innovation. Women in STEM. And multi-pop products weren't the only makeup innovations the ancient Chinese were cooking up. According to an article in the Engineering and Technology Management Journal titled Innovation and Development of Lipsticks, yes, I did read that entire 20-page journal for you. According to that article, it said, Lip balms in ancient China often had wonderful fragrances added as well as tasty added flavors. In the Tang Dynasty around the 600s, rather than simply appeasing the gods and as lip treatment, the coloring of lips also appeased social status. One owns spirit and the well-being of the Chinese people at this time. Chinese makeup is so interesting and innovative, and I swear we have a Chinese makeup episode in the works. It's coming eventually someday. But truly, the ancient Chinese were on top of their makeup game, and thousands of years later, Chinese beauty products are still unmatched. Unfortunately, China was one of the only ancient civilizations working on making lippies delicious and fragrant. The rest of the world was making them dangerous and disgusting. All right, my delicious donuts, there was a reason why I did not tell you to grab a snack today, and if you did, you might want to put it down for this segment because we are starting off strong with the disgusting. Like real disgusting. Many of the ancient Romans were deeply weird freakaliks. Not as much as the ancient Greeks, but still. Looking at you, Aristotle, okay? A weirdo. And one of these little Roman weird guys decided to write a book called, pardon my Latin, Medisamina Faciae Feminae. Why did I make my Latin sound Italian? Let's just do the English version. This book was called The Art of Beauty. And I've got a quick pop quiz for you. Do you think this book was written by a woman? 3 seconds on the clock. 3, 2, 1. Correct! No, it was not. It was not written by a woman. It was written by Publius Ovidius Naso, aka Ovid, a dude. Publius is a fantastic name, by the way. I think I might go and rename my concentration bean from the Green Brothers' new Focus app to Publius. Anyways, doesn't matter. Focus TK. Rome, being the conquering carols that they were, came into contact with all sorts of beauty products and standards from Egypt to Greece, and through the influence of these cultures, the beauty standards of Rome changed, leaving Ovid over here compelled to tell the ladies of Rome how they should act and how they should look. Pale skin, luscious lips, black eyes, kind of like a shark, I guess. And Ovid was gracious enough to add cosmetic recipes in his book for the ladies of Rome. And while he didn't include any for lipstick, we do have one for foundation, and I just have to read it to you. So prepare, gird your loins for this one, babes. Okay, here we go. Ovid said to create foundation, add 2 pounds of peeled barley and an equal quantity of vetches, which is a kind of tiny purple flower, moistened with 10 eggs. 10 eggs in this economy? Am I right? Dry the mixture in the air and let the whole be ground beneath the millstone worked by the patient ass. He said patient ass. I'm not inserting that. He said it. I'm in a mood today. Anyways, pound the first horns that drop from the head of a lusty stag. Okay. I'm sorry. Pound the first horns that drop from the head of a lusty stag. Of this, take 1/6 of a pound, crush and pound the whole to a fine powder and pass through a deep sieve. Add 12 narcissus bulbs, which have been skinned, and pound the whole together vigorously in a marble mortar. There should be added 2 ounces of gum and Tuscan spelt and 9 times as much honey. Any woman who smears her face with this cosmetic will become brighter than her mirror. What are you talking about, Ovid? What is that recipe? Lusty, what was it? Lusty stags and patient asses. Weird recipe, no doubt. But admittedly, it's not the weirdest. And if you've listened to the Beauty That Kills episode, it may not surprise you to learn that when it came to lipstick and skincare, the Romans would add, I kid you not, crocodile dung into their concoctions. How did the Romans think that they were the height of society? How do we let them gaslight us into thinking that they were this pinnacle of society and mankind when they're out here mixing shit, literal shit, into things that they put on their mouth and face? The ancient Chinese were out here making essentially lip smackers level deliciousness, and the Romans were putting shit on their lips. Okay, they had like democracy or whatever, but you also have shit lips. So I feel like there's a clear winner when it comes to advanced society. How are you gonna conquer half the world with shit on your lips? Sorry. Oh, geez. Okay. So, I hear you loud and clear, dear one. TK, you just can't gloss over croc poop. What were they doing putting literal shit on their lips? Well, dear one, as far as I could discover, it was for lightening effects of both color and complexion. Because crocodile poop, if you didn't know, dries white. Dries white. So to lighten the red pigments that they used as a base, they added a cheeky little bit of poopy and lead to the mixture. And also, crocodile poop has a slight exfoliating effect, just because poop in general is acidic. So it could have been any poop. And I only have one resource to verify this, so like take this with a little bit of salt, a grain, if you will. But lead was used by common folk in these mixtures, while forbidden crock fudge was used for the wealthy. Lead was super accessible in Rome, but the caca, not so much. And because of this, huge quantities of reptilian refuse were shipped to Rome from Egypt every year to not only be used in cosmetics, but also, I can't even speak, but also birth control as well. Once again, what are we doing here? What are we doing, Rome? What are we doing? What are we actually doing? I'm speechless. I'm actually speechless. And we don't have time to talk about the crocodile birth control. We just don't. And while I could wax poetic about the shenanigans of the Roman Empire, we must move on to other disgusting lippies. But we will return to the Romans at the end of this episode. And boy, you're gonna be so mad. You're gonna be so mad. But until then, I would be derelict in my unhinged history bestie duties if I did not mention very quickly the sheep sweat and dried up wine dregs were also used in Roman lip products, but that's not nearly as weird as what I'm about to tell you. So let's fast forward in the time machine just a little bit to the 13th century and what we now call Central America, to the Mayans. The very first recorded evidence of lipstick in America comes from the 13th century book, the Grolier Codex. In it, we learn that the Mayans would smush up carmine beetles to create bright red lipstick. And listen, okay, I'm not here to culture shame or yuck anybody's yum. I know many cultures eat bugs. I have eaten my fair share of silkworms and grasshoppers and spiders and other various insects. But the thought of dried, crushed up carmine beetle souls in my lipstick just freaks me out a little bit, because it takes hundreds of thousands of these little beetles that live on cactuses to create the red that is needed for lipstick. it's insane the number of beetles that you need, and I don't know if Buddhist hell has made a special unit for that particular sin, but it can't be good and I don't want to go there. But just so you know, we talked about this a little bit in the episode with our resident archaeologist Hannah. Carmine is still used in many cosmetics and food products today. It's safe to eat. You can totally eat it. So we can't be too harsh with the Mayans. I mean, Starbucks used it like 2 or 3 years ago in one of their holiday like strawberry drinks. So who are we to judge? It may not be the grossest. Admittedly, it is hard to beat the crocodile dung, but the American colonies of the 18th century really did their best at taking that disgusting crown when deciding to add whale spermaceti to lip products. DK. Pray tell, what is spermaceti? Great question. I'd love to tell you. So, spermaceti is a waxy substance found in the head cavities of the sperm whale. Whoa! Spermaceti is created in the spermaceti organ inside the whale's head. Think jojoba oil, but from whale brain. And you know what? That's where I stopped my research. Because I don't really know how it's made. But it is, and the whaling business was booming during this time, and those crazy little colonial freaks found all sorts of uses for the bodily fluids of various whales. And it was discovered, somehow, that spermaceti was a great lip moisturizer. And just all over moisturizer. And I need time travel to be invented because I need to speak to the person who discovered that. I don't know if they belong in the castor oil list of diarrhea doom, but I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about adding them on, because if that person just found a dead whale, stuck a little fingy into some whale oil and smeared it on their lips, that's a little bit too much for me, and they're going on the castor oil list. If it was an accident, like a little bit, oh no, it's splashed on my mouth, maybe not. Maybe not on the castor oil list. However, the lady whose spermaceti lippy recipe became famous sure does. She got a place right at the top of the garbage human castor oil list. Martha Washington. Did you think I was going to say that name? Look up the history of Martha Washington. She was terrible. She also had a favorite recipe for lip rouge, which involved wax, hog's lard, spermaceti, alkanet root, almond oil, baslam, resins, and sugar. Okay, add some sugar in there. Whatever. But this recipe became very popular, and it was also very common during the late 17 and early 1800s, and it was so until the decline of the whaling industry in the late 1800s. So, go America, creating a disgusting and deplorable lipstick to contribute to the big, big book of history. In my opinion, lipstick danger can be measured in 2 ways. Danger as in toxic, gonna make you die, and danger as in if people see you with or without it, they may cause you societal harm. And we will begin with the former. So let's rewind the clock to ancient Egypt. The history of lipstick in Egypt could be an episode all by itself, but for the most part, throughout the Middle and New Kingdoms, lipstick was used by both men and women to signify wealth, status, social position, there we go, and was used in a religious capacity. The colors changed, but red and purple were 2 of the most popular, with red being for royalty and the more auspicious women of society, like Cleopatra VII. And our good Judy Cleo, being the medical and chemistry genius that she was, wrote several books on medicine and cosmetology, leaving us many of her beauty recipes, which included her personal lip color. It was made from carmine beetles, which we talked about earlier, various animal fats, and sometimes she even mixed fish scales for a little extra sparkly zhuzh, a combination which was not dangerous at all, albeit a little bit gross. The wearers of purple lipstick, however, were not so lucky. To make the lovely shade of purple, the ancient Egyptians wore a combination of iodine and bromine was added to a fat or oil base and then stabilized with a resin. And if you are like me and high school chemistry class has been purged from your memory, iodine and bromine are very, very toxic. Bromine can cause chemical burns, irritate the respiratory tract, and lead to a pulmonary edema, which is science people talk for making you drown without water. Yet the tissues in your lungs just start filling up with liquid, which is bad. It's very bad. Say no to bromine, guys. But iodine is a slightly different story. Time to put our listening ears on. Let me be very clear. We need iodine. A healthy amount of iodine is important for bodily function. If you do not have iodine in your body, you will die, okay? You will cross the rainbow bridge earlier than you need to, friend. Iodine is also a very useful tool and very important for medicine in terms of sanitization, for surgery, and wound care. It is not dangerous in small amounts on the skin. However, when ingested, not applied topically, like put in your face hole, in large amounts, again, in large amounts, it can lead to acute or chronic toxicity. Your average everyday human being is not coming across toxic levels of iodine, okay? But the ancient Egyptians were. And when they mixed these two chemicals together, it was bad news bears. And when they put it on their lips, oh boy, howdy how, they were gonna probably die. Because people lick their lips. I've licked my lips so many times. I've had to reapply my lipstick so many times during this episode from licking my lips, from drinking water, which I'm sure you ingest a little bit of lipstick every time you drink from a straw or a can or something like that. And who among us, okay, who among us has not licked off a chapstick? Because it tastes really delicious. Who among us has not done a little on their lips, okay? Let she who has never accidentally ingested lipstick cast the first stone. Not a one among us has not eaten our fair share of lip product. And thankfully, our products today are not gonna kill us. However, there were no safety regulations for the ancient Egyptians, so many of them did pass on to the next life because of this deadly lipstick. And people knew that the purple lipstick was toxic. It was nicknamed the kiss of death because its wearers would more often than not fall ill or even die. And they still wore it. And any of my fellow millennials out there who feel silly for having hit the club in your going out outfit, which was a pencil skirt and a peplum top and a statement piece and high heel pumps in the middle of December for the aesthetic, don't feel bad, because at least you weren't dying from your lip color like the ancient Egyptians were. You know, I don't feel so bad anymore. But they were not the only ones. For several thousand years, humans, minus the ancient Chinese, were putting all sorts of ludicrous and deadly ingredients in lip products, from arsenic to lead and radium for a glowing lip look. Fun. If you'd like to hear a slightly more in-depth history of beauty products and treatments on the whole, you can listen to the Deadly Beauty episode from a few seasons back. I'll link it below. But I want to shift our focus from the harm lipstick can cause to the harm humans inflicted when it came to lipstick. Starting with those unhinged Romans. The history of makeup in Rome fluctuates from unpopular to popular at several points in its history. Our fella Ovid over there was very pro makeup and believed it was a great way to enable a woman to attain proper Roman aesthetic. But gradually, visible makeup was vilified and sexualized. Blonde hair and red lips and heavy makeup became the official look for prostitutes and not high society Roman women. In fact, laws were created mandating that prostitutes who did not go out in public with their slutty little makeup on would be punished for trying to impersonate a lady. But good Roman ladies still needed to wear makeup because Zeus forbid your naturally beautiful olive skin be seen by the public. Gag me with a spoon. Disgusting. Do you want people to think that you don't have enough money to pay people to do outside labor so you can sit inside? Of course not. That's why you gotta smear crocodile poop all over your mug so people know that you got money like that. Not only to have pale skin, but also to import crocodile shit. The crocodile shit no makeup look was all the rage among the Roman lady. Take that line out of context. The ancient Roman crocodile shit no makeup look. Has anyone ever said that? Has anyone ever spoken those words all together? Oh my God, I need help. What was I talking about? Okay, Rome, all right? Being the analytical, yet somehow also unhinged lady that I am, I couldn't help but think of the parallels that we are seeing in makeup today. The clean girl look is the chosen style of a certain group that thinks that they are morally superior, and I'm not saying that all people who choose to wear clean girl makeup subscribe to that way of thinking, but there is a reason that is become the standard of beauty right now, and it does have links to eugenics because it always goes back to eugenics. And I'm mulling over doing an episode, a Patreon bonus episode, with the connection of clean girl beauty and eugenics, but that is a conversation for another day. Being caught outside without your whorish makeup as an ancient Roman woman just trying to make a living could lead you to punishments. But things became more dangerous when the Catholic Church found out that the woman could shapeshift and make a satanic covenant with lipstick. It is no exaggeration to say that the Catholic Church has done some of the craziest things to women throughout history. During the Middle Ages, the Catholic Church had a chokehold on the entirety of Europe, and the popes were just wildin' the fuck out. Popes during the Middle Ages were so unhinged with unchecked power, and for like the span of 300 years from about 1000 to 1300-ish CE, the church decided to use that unhingedness and stick its gilded little sticky fingers into the lives of women. And one of those witchy obsessed popes was Pope Gregory IX, and he excommunicated cats because people were supposedly kissing the chocolate starfishes of cats to make covenants with the devil and become witches. Anyways, but fear not, dear one, if you didn't have any cats nearby, you could also make a pact with Old Scratch by putting on lipstick. Yep, that was a real thing. That was a real thing that the Catholic Church believed in. It was a real thing. And do you know why the leaders of the Catholic Church thought this, dear one? Because such an alteration of her given face challenged God and his workmanship. Sometimes I hate it here. It was an extremely common belief, and here's another quote directly from the church to let women know why lipstick was bad. It says, quote, "They were laying hands on God when they strive to remake what he has made and to transform it, not knowing that everything that comes into existence is the work of God, that whatever is changed is the work of the devil." Literally, what is going on here? So not only were they laying hands on God, aka they were throwing down, they were also straight up being Satan when they were putting on makeup. And this is not exaggeration. The justification was found in Ephesians. Ephesians, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It has been a while since I went to Catholic Sunday school. Ephesians 2:10, which says, "For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus unto good works, which God hath before ordained that we should walk in them." Now, maybe I'm just not good at reading. I do have dyslexia after all, but it seems to me that God was just like telling people that they were made with good so that they should also do good. All right? I don't really think it says anything about makeup, but the Catholic Church was like, nope, you wear makeup equal you witch equal you Satan equal you very bad, and we must do bad things to you. But all jokes aside, women wearing makeup were really seen as literal incarnations of Satan, and this, we don't know exactly what happened to many of these women because we don't have records. But from what I know of things during this time, it could not have been good. It could not have been good. And this idea continued into the 1500s, particularly in England, with both the church and the state declaring that the application of makeup was sinful and women had to address their use at confession, with one exception. According to the Catholic Church, it was a mortal sin to put on makeup unless it was applied to, quote, remedy severe disfigurement or to be not looked down upon by one's husband. I'm sorry, what? Excuse me, what? You could wear lipstick as long as it made your husband happy, as long as you were making yourself presentable to the world? Severe disfigurement? What does that mean? Well, does it mean acne? Does it mean scars? What do you count as disfigurement? But it's nothing new. You know this. We know this. Women's bodies, women's fashion, cosmetics, hobbies, they have been policed throughout time. The benchmarkers are constantly moving. However, as society pushes, there are people who push against the idiocy of society, and lipsticks and cosmetics have had countless ups and downs in nearly every culture in the world, with it being a sign of feminism in the first wave of feminism and the second wave and the third wave of feminism. It was also used as a rally cry during World War II. It's been used in all sorts of movements, from Mac's campaign to support AIDS. Excuse me, editing TK here. I did not mean to say to support AIDS as in spreading HIV. I meant to say Mac's campaign to support survivors with HIV and to support creating a cure for HIV. Okay, thanks so much. Sorry about that confusion. Just wanted to clarify. Back to the episode, Caleb. Lesbian groups fighting for equality and so much more. The history of lipstick is not all doom and gloom, dear one. Trust me. And I'll leave some resources for you in the show notes below if you would like to dive deeper into the history of lipstick. But I want you to know that the history of lipstick is not all doom and gloom, dear one. Nay, friggin' nay. Nearly every day, I sit in front of my living room coffee table and pick a lipstick from my makeup kit. Do I feel like a cute pink lip or a bold red lip, or is it a don't talk to me matte black lip day? Whatever vibe I'm feeling, there is a lipstick shade to match. And now I take comfort in the fact that for nearly 5,000 years, people have been doing the exact same thing. And I hope that people, regardless of sex or gender or social status or what have you, that more people will be putting on lipstick for 5,000 more years. Hopefully, sans crocodile shit. Well, dear one, we have come to our final thought, and today we are myth busting some historical meme unreal facts. So, all throughout my research, I was seeing something called the Hoops and Heels Act, a 1770s bill that made it legal in England to divorce your wife if she tricked you with witchcraft. Article after article was citing this 1770s bill, the Hoops and Heels Act, but I could not find any article or video that directly cited this act. And fun fact about English law, pretty much all of their acts are still archived. You can find so many of them online. And I thought it was really weird that nobody was doing that. So I dug a little bit deeper, and in the Wayback Machine, I found a 2017 article by Racked, which is like Vox's. It's an old-fashioned website that doesn't exist anymore, but they did a deep dive into the rumors of the so-called Hoops and Heels Act, and they found that it was fake. It was completely fake, and it was all based on a 1650s complaint and article proposal written by this disgruntled man. So the story on Vox says, quote, called the Hoops and Heels Act, it stated that any woman who tried to seduce and betray into matrimony a man using scents, paints, cosmetic washes, artificial teeth, false hair, Spanish wool, iron stays, hoops, high heel shoes, or bolstered hips would be tried for witchcraft and have her marriage voided if found guilty. Except it never happened, but generations of researchers have been fooled, some stating that this law was passed in 1774, others saying it was voted down by Parliament, and another group claiming that under the counsel of their mistresses and wives, members of Parliament decided not to vote on it at all. What? Another fact-checking website called Africa Check found that the only closest thing that it could possibly be linked to is a June 7th, 1650 entry in the House of Commons Journal under the heading Immodest Dress. The entry says, an act against the vice of painting and wearing black patches and immodest dresses of women be read on Friday morning next. And according to PolitiFacts, quote, officials with the United Kingdom's National Archive told PolitiFact in an email that the bill never had a full reading, as far as they could see, and because of that, it was likely introduced at the behest of a Puritan MP, Member of Parliament, but the Council of States chose not to pursue it. So, it was some guy pissed about lipstick saying, hey, I want to talk about this, let's make lipstick illegal, but members of Parliament were like, whoa, hold on, friend. That seems a little bit cray-cray. So it never happened. There wasn't even a full bill or an act. There was a proposal about immodest dress, and that's it. And yes, while English society in the 1770s did consider painting lips and makeup generally unladylike and witchcraftery, a law banning it never existed. It never existed. So if you see that meme or post or anything online, make sure you leave a comment saying, hey, this is bullshit. This is not real. And if you would like to read that full PolitiFact article and the Africa Check article, I will leave them both in the show notes below. So that's what I got for you. That was a liar, liar, pants on fire moment. And I'm glad that we could debunk that together. So that's all I got for you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Remember to like and subscribe and do all those fun interaction things. Seriously, it really does help so much. Interacting with any of the videos, liking, commenting, sharing this video with a friend. It's so helpful and I really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks so much for being chill about me not posting last week. I really appreciate it. I just needed to take a little bit of time for myself. Got a little bit overwhelmed, but I hope you're not overwhelmed this week, and I hope you do something to take care of yourself. Please make sure that you are truly doing things to take care of yourself to the best of your ability, all right? Go outside, touch some grass, drink water. I swear to God, if you don't pick up a water right now, pick up a water right now. Go to the kitchen. Get to the kitchen right now. Drink some water. Hell, get to the bathroom faucet. Lap it up like a little cat. Get some water and drink it. Take a big gulp right now, like I am right now. If you're wondering why you have a headache, it's probably those 3 iced coffees that you had and the lack of water. I'm aggressively loving you, okay? Anyways, I will see you next week when we talk about the incredibly WTF history of the pharmacy. Whoa, what kind of shenanigans are we gonna get into next week? You'll just have to wait and see. Okay, I love you so much. Bye! Ted Tax, Ted Tax. Are you ready for some Teddy Tax? Ted Tax, Ted Tax. Are you ready for some Ted Tax? Oh my god, I'm sorry. Someday I'll get an extra battery pack. But today's not that day because they're like $300. Hey, but it's okay. It's fine. We live and we learn, and we don't forget to charge cameras. That'll be a good day. It'll be a good day in the history household when we remember how to charge a gosh dang camera. A gosh diggity darn camera. Oh, salty lychee. Lychee? Who knows? Not I. Water? Sure. Yeah, I'll take a water. I've never said no to water before. What are you talking about? All right. Today's camera tool to turn the camera on. Nail oil. Sunked. It's done sunked. Ah, yes, Ted. Join us. But I can't stop, Captain. I can't stop it. Oh, my God. See, it's begun. It has begun. All right. Can you get your butthole out of here? Thank you. Again. We died again. Okay. But we'll never lose the light in our eyes. Say bye to the people, Ted. Say bye to the besties. Bye, besties. Bye, history besties. Say bye to the history besties, Teddy. Say bye. Oh, God, I almost dropped the camera.